Commander Vex stared at the empty space where Earth used to shine. 300 years had passed since the last human ship disappeared from the galaxy. Now only dead rocks and metal scraps floated where once a proud civilization had lived. "Sir, the salvage teams found more human weapons on the third moon," his young assistant reported. The assistant was barely 20 years old and had never seen a living human. To him, humans were just stories from old books. Vex nodded without looking up from his reports. "Good. The collectors will pay well for those old guns." He did not care about the humans who once made those weapons. They were gone now, and that was all that mattered. The Talarian Empire ruled the galaxy now. 12 different alien species worked together under one flag. They had divided the old human worlds among themselves like hungry animals sharing a meal. Earth was just another mining planet. Mars grew food for the Empire. The human colonies were now factories and military bases. In the officers' mess hall, that evening, young Talarian soldiers laughed about the old human stories. They had heard tales of human bravery and cleverness, but they thought these were just made-up legends. "Can you believe humans once thought they could fight the whole galaxy?" one soldier joked. "They were so small and weak. No wonder they died out so fast. I heard they used to build ships from scrap metal and somehow made them work," another added. "Primitive creatures with primitive minds." Vex listened to their laughter but said nothing. He had been a young officer during the last human wars. He remembered things differently. The humans had been tough fighters, cleverer than anyone expected. But they were gone now, so it did not matter. Far below the surface of a planet called Kepler 442b, Dr. Hanna worked in a place the Empire would never find. The underground city of New Sol stretched for miles beneath the rocky ground. Bright lights filled the tunnels where thousands of humans lived and worked. Hanna was 93 years old. Her hair was white and her hands were wrinkled, but her eyes were still sharp. She was one of the last people who remembered the Great Exodus. She had been there when humanity chose to hide instead of die. "The Watchers report more Empire ships in our old territories," her assistant Minho told her. He was young and eager, born in the hidden cities and trained for this moment his whole life. "Let them look," Hanna said with a small smile. "They see only what we want them to see." The truth was that humanity had never died. When the Empire came with its massive fleets and superior weapons, the humans had made a choice. Instead of fighting a war they could not win, they had disappeared. Some called it cowardice. Hanna called it wisdom. The Exodus had taken 50 years to complete. Ship by ship, family by family, humans had slipped away from their known worlds. They built new homes in places no one would think to look. Inside hollow asteroids, under the ice of frozen moons, in the crushing depths of gas giant atmospheres, even in the empty space between stars. For 3 centuries, they had been busy. While the Empire celebrated their victory over the extinct humans, real humans were learning. They studied Empire technology until they understood it better than its makers. They watched Empire tactics until they could predict every move. They listened to Empire communications until they knew every secret. Most importantly, they had been building. The hidden cities were marvels of engineering that made Empire technology look like children's toys. Human scientists had solved problems that Empire researchers thought were impossible. They had created weapons that could bend the laws of physics. They had built ships that could appear and disappear like ghosts. "How many colonies are ready?" Hanna asked Minho. "All 47 core worlds report full readiness," he replied. "The outer settlements are still preparing, but they will be ready soon." Hanna nodded. 47 hidden worlds, each one home to millions of humans. Hundreds of smaller settlements scattered across the galaxy, all connected by secret communication networks that the Empire could not detect, all waiting for the signal to begin. "And are people inside the Empire?" "Over 2,000 agents in position. They have jobs in Empire military, government, and corporations. Many have been there for decades. Some were born there and grew up as loyal Empire citizens." This was the part Hanna was most proud of. For 300 years, humans had been infiltrating the Empire. They looked like other species with the help of advanced disguises. They spoke the languages perfectly. They knew the cultures and customs. Many had risen to important positions in Empire society. The Empire thought humans were extinct, but humans were everywhere. They flew Empire ships, worked in Empire factories, even served in Empire armies. They were invisible, patient, and ready. "Begin Phase 1, Hana ordered. "Let them know that some memories refuse to die." Minho smiled and activated the communication system that would reach every hidden human settlement across the galaxy. After 300 years of waiting, humanity was ready to remind the galaxy that they had never truly left. The message was simple. The dead remember. The hunt begins. Captain Jinwoo stood in the command center of the hidden fleet, watching screens that showed Empire ship movements across the galaxy. His fleet was unlike anything the Empire had ever seen. The ships looked like they were built from old scraps and salvage parts, but they contained technology that could make Empire admirals weep with envy. "Phase 1 targets are marked," reported his tactical officer Hyon. She was young but had trained her whole life for this moment. Supply routes, communication stations, and remote outposts. All Empire positions in former human space. Jinwoo nodded slowly. He had been born in the hidden cities and had never seen natural sunlight until he was 30. His childhood was spent learning about the old human worlds, memorizing the names of every city the Empire had destroyed, every family that had been torn apart. "Remember," he told his officers, "we are ghosts. We strike fast, leave no trace, and disappear. Make them wonder if we were ever really there." Across the galaxy, the first phase began. Empire supply convoys traveling through the Perseus Arm found their cargo containers mysteriously empty when they reached their destinations. The goods were still there in the morning, gone by evening with no sign of how they disappeared. Communication relays started failing in patterns that made no sense. The failures were small at first. A message would arrive 5 minutes late. A video call would have strange static, nothing serious enough to cause panic but enough to make people notice. Admiral Cora of the Empire Fleet was the first to see the real pattern. She had been studying military tactics for 40 years and had fought in dozens of wars. Her sharp mind noticed what others missed. "These are not random failures," she told her staff during their morning briefing. "Look at the timing. Look at the locations. This follows human tactical doctrine from their old military books." Her officers looked confused. "But Admiral," one of them said, "humans have been extinct for 300 years. How could they be causing these problems?" Cora stared at the star maps on her wall. Red dots marked every strange incident from the past month. When connected, they formed a pattern that reminded her of something she had studied in military school. It was a classic human strategy called death by 1,000 cuts. Small attacks that seemed harmless alone, but created chaos when combined. "Run full security scans on all affected areas," she ordered. "I want to know what we are really dealing with." Meanwhile, on Earth, Empire archaeologists were having their own strange day. They had been trying to open an ancient human vault for 6 months. Their best technology could not crack its defenses. The vault seemed to be made from materials that should not exist. Dr. Zek, the lead archaeologist, finally called in the Empire's most powerful cutting tools. After 3 days of continuous work, they managed to create a small hole in the vault's wall. "There is something inside," Zek reported to his team. "I can see light." When they finally broke through, they found not treasures or weapons, but a single holographic projector. The device activated the moment air touched it, displaying a message in perfect Empire standard language. "We are not extinct. We are patient. We remember every world you took, every life you destroyed, every promise you broke. The dead do not forget." The message played for exactly 30 seconds. Then the projector dissolved into dust that blew away in the wind. The archaeologists stood in shocked silence, staring at the empty space where impossible words had appeared. Dr. Hana received news of the vault discovery within hours. Her network of spies and hidden agents reported everything that happened in Empire space. She smiled as she read the report on her personal screen. "They found our first gift," she told Minho. "How are they reacting?" "Panic in the archaeological department. They are calling it a hoax. but Admiral Korra has ordered increased security patrols in all former human territories. Hana nodded with satisfaction. Good. Fear makes people make mistakes. Begin Phase 2. Deep in the asteroid belt of the Sol system, Captain Jinwoo received his new orders. Phase 2 was more direct than Phase 1. Instead of just causing confusion, they would start making the Empire bleed. Target the supply convoy heading to the Vega system, Jinwoo told his fleet commanders. 23 ships carrying weapons and food to Empire forces. We take everything and leave only a message. The attack happened during the convoy's sleep cycle, when most crew members were resting. Jinwoo's ships appeared from nowhere, moving like shadows through space. They used weapons that Empire sensors could not detect, and tactics that Empire computers could not predict. The Empire ships never had a chance to fight back. Their weapons would not fire. Their shields collapsed without being hit. Their engines stopped working for no reason anyone could understand. When it was over, the Bai convoy's cargo holds were empty. Every weapon, every food container, every piece of valuable equipment had vanished. The only thing left behind was a message broadcast on all Empire frequencies. We remember what you took from us. Now we take from you. This is only the beginning. The message was accompanied by a list of names. Every human world the Empire had conquered. Every human city they had destroyed. Every human family that had died during the Exodus. Admiral Korra listened to the message 3 times, her face growing paler with each repetition. She finally understood what they were facing. The humans were not extinct. They had been hiding, learning and preparing for 300 years. And now they were ready for war. The 23 Empire ships of the Perseus convoy simply vanished. One moment they were traveling through normal space, the next moment they were gone. No distress signals, no explosions, no debris. Just empty space where a full military convoy used to be. Admiral Korra stood in her command center, staring at the empty scanner display. Her best officers surrounded her, but none of them had answers. The convoy had been carrying weapons and supplies to 3 different Empire bases. Now all of that was gone. How does an entire convoy disappear? She demanded. 23 ships, over 2,000 crew members, and enough firepower to destroy a small planet. They cannot just vanish into nothing. Her communications officer looked up from his station with a pale face. Admiral, we are receiving a transmission. It is broadcasting on all Empire frequencies. The message began to play throughout the command center. The voice was human, speaking in clear Empire standard language. But it was not just the words that made everyone freeze. It was the tone, cold, patient, and filled with the anger that had been building for 3 centuries. We remember what you took from us. Every world you claimed, every city you destroyed, every family you scattered to the stars. Today, we begin to take back what was stolen. This is only the beginning. The message continued with a list of names. Human worlds that had been conquered during the first expansion. Human colonies that had been turned into Empire military bases. Human cities that had been renamed and rebuilt for Empire citizens. The list went on for 10 minutes, each name spoken with careful precision. Admiral Korra recognized some of the names from her military history classes. Terra Nova, the first human colony outside their home system. New Beijing, which had been turned into a major Empire trading hub. Kepler Prime, now called Victory Station and used as a military training ground. How do they know our current base names? Asked her tactical officer. Some of those colonies were renamed 50 years ago. The information is classified. That was the question that kept Korra awake at night. The humans were not just alive, they were informed. They knew Empire military codes, base locations, and troop movements. They had access to information that should have been impossible to obtain. The answer was working in the Empire's own buildings. Dr. So-Young sat at her desk in the Empire Research Institute, just another scientist among thousands. She had worked there for 15 years, earning respect and security clearance through careful patience. Her colleagues knew her as a brilliant researcher who specialized in quantum physics. They did not know she was human. Her real job was to steal everything. Every research project, every military plan, every weakness in Empire technology. She had dozens of colleagues like her, humans who had spent decades building false identities and working their way into important positions. The weapon frequencies are uploaded, she reported through her hidden communicator. Their new shield technology has a fatal flaw in the quantum matrix. Our ships can exploit it. Captain Jinwoo received the intelligence report while preparing for the next phase of attacks. His fleet had grown from a few dozen ships to over 200. Hidden shipyards throughout the galaxy were working day and night to build more vessels. They still think we are using old human technology, he told his officers during their briefing. They do not understand that we have been improving it for 300 years while they stood still. The next attack came at the Vega system, where a major Empire fleet was stationed. Jinwoo's ships approached during the night shift, when most crews were sleeping, but this time, they did not hide. Commander Vex was commanding the night watch when his sensors detected the approaching ships. At first he thought it was a drill. The approaching vessels looked like old human designs pieced together from salvaged parts. They should have been easy targets for his modern warships. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. Prepare to engage unknown vessels. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it ended, half of Vex's fleet was destroyed or disabled. The other half had surrendered after watching their weapons fail to damage the human ships. The human vessels fought like nothing Vex had ever seen. They moved through space like living creatures, anticipating his tactics before he could implement them. Their weapons passed through Empire shields as if they were not there. Their own shields seemed to absorb and redirect Empire attacks. How are they doing this? Vex asked his surviving officers. Our technology is 300 years more advanced than theirs. The answer came from Captain Jinwoo himself, whose ship approached Vex's damaged flagship. The human captain's face appeared on the main screen, showing features that were definitely human but somehow different. His eyes held knowledge that seemed older than his years. Commander Vex, Jinwoo said politely. You have fought bravely. But this war is already over. Your empire built its strength on the graves of my people, but we never died, we just learned to be patient. Vex stared at the human captain, trying to understand what he was seeing. You are extinct. We confirmed it ourselves 3 centuries ago. Jinwoo smiled sadly. You confirmed that we left. You never confirmed that we died. There is a difference. Commander, we have been watching you, learning from you, preparing for this day. Your empire taught us everything we needed to know about how to defeat you. The transmission ended, leaving Vex alone with his thoughts and his ruined fleet. Around him, his officers worked frantically to repair their damaged systems and treat their wounded. But Vex knew the truth now. The humans had never been extinct. They had been evolving. Commander Vex led the largest Empire task force ever assembled toward the Vega system. His orders were simple: find the human survivors and destroy them completely. Intelligence reports suggested only a small group of rebels hiding among the asteroids. Sir, we have 50 battleships, 200 fighters, and enough firepower to crack a planet, his second officer reported with confidence. These humans will not escape this time. Vex nodded but felt uneasy. He had survived the last encounter with Captain Jinwoo's forces, and something about that battle still troubled him. The humans had fought with impossible skill, as if they knew every move his ships would make before he made them. Maintain full battle readiness, he ordered. These are not the same humans from the old stories. They are something else now. Captain Jinwoo waited in the asteroid field with his full battle group. 60 ships that looked like they were built from scrap metal and spare parts. But appearances were deceiving. Each vessel contained technology that made Empire weapons look like ancient toys. Empire fleet approaching, reported his tactical officer Hyon. 50 capital ships in full escort. They outnumber us almost 3 to 1. Jinwoo studied the tactical display calmly. Around him, his bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were people who had trained their entire lives for this moment. They were the children and grandchildren of humans who had fled into the darkness 3 centuries ago. Let them come, Jinwoo said softly. Today they learn what happens when you build an empire on graves. The battle began when Vex's fleet reached weapons range. Empire ships opened fire with everything they had. Laser beams and particle cannons filled space with deadly light. It should have been the end of the human ghost fleet. Instead, something impossible happened. The human ships seemed to dance between the weapon beams, moving in ways that defied physics. When Empire weapons did hit them, the energy was absorbed and redirected back at the attackers. "Our shields are being turned against us," shouted Vex's weapons officer. "Their technology is using our own power to destroy our ships." Jinwoo's vessels struck back with weapons that seemed to come from science fiction stories. Beams of light that passed through Empire shields without touching them, then tore apart the ships inside. Missiles that changed direction in impossible ways, finding weak spots that should not have existed. But the humans were fighting more than a military battle. They were fighting a war of memory and justice. Each human ship bore the name of a lost human world. New Seoul, carrying the memory of Korea's greatest colony, Terra Nova, named for humanity's first home beyond Earth. New Lagos, remembering the African settlements in the Outer Rim. As they fought, the human ships broadcast the names of everyone they had lost. Every human city the Empire had destroyed, every family that had been scattered during the Exodus, every child who had died in the hidden colonies while waiting for this day. "We are the children of Earth." Jinwoo's voice rang across all frequencies. "We are the sons and daughters of every world you stole from us. Today the dead have their revenge." The psychological warfare was as effective as their advanced weapons. Empire crews heard the names of places they had conquered, people they had forgotten, promises they had broken. Many began to understand for the first time what their empire had really done to humanity. Vex watched his fleet crumble around him. Ships that had never been defeated were burning and dying. Crews that had won 100 battles were surrendering or fleeing. In 3 hours, the Empire's finest fleet had been reduced to scattered wreckage. His own flagship was the last one fighting. The bridge was filled with smoke and sparks from damaged systems. Half his crew was dead or wounded. But Vex refused to surrender. "Sir, we have incoming transmission from the human flagship," his communications officer reported. Captain Jinwoo's face appeared on the main screen. Behind him, Vex could see the human bridge crew working calmly, as if they had just finished a training exercise instead of the largest space battle in decades. "Commander Vex," Jinwoo said with something that might have been respect. "You have fought bravely for a cause you believe in. I will not ask you to surrender, because I know you will refuse. But I want you to carry a message back to your Admiral, Engsi," straightened in his command chair, trying to maintain his dignity despite his defeat. "What message?" "Tell Admiral Korra that the dead remember everything. Every world you took, every life you destroyed, every promise you broke. We have spent 300 years preparing for this war, and we are just beginning." Jinwoo paused, his expression growing sad. "Your empire was built on the assumption that we were extinct. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was believing that superior numbers could defeat superior preparation." The transmission ended, leaving Vex alone with his damaged ship and dying crew. Around him, the human fleet was already disappearing back into the asteroid field, vanishing like ghosts returning to their graves. But Vex knew the truth now. The humans were not ghosts. They were something far more dangerous. They were a memory that had refused to die, grown strong in the darkness, and learned to fight back. When news of the defeat reached the Empire's capital, panic spread through the government like wildfire. The humans were not just alive. They were winning. And this was only the beginning. Admiral Korra stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching the largest fleet in galactic history assemble above Earth. 1,000 warships from every corner of the Empire had come to end the human problem once and for all. The combined firepower could destroy entire star systems. "This ends today," she declared to her officers. "The humans have caused enough trouble. We will burn every rock they hide under and make sure they never rise again." Her fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean. Battleships the size of cities floated alongside carriers packed with fighter craft. The Empire had brought everything they had to this final battle. There would be no escape for humanity this time. Captain Jinwoo stood in the command center of New Seoul Station, deep beneath Earth's surface. Around him, holographic displays showed the massive Empire fleet taking positions in orbit. His own forces seemed tiny in comparison. 60 ships against 1,000. All hidden colonies report ready, announced his communications officer Yunji. Phase 3 is prepared for activation. Jinwoo nodded calmly. He had been preparing for this moment his entire life. Everyone in the hidden colonies had been preparing. For 3 centuries, humanity had been planning for the day when they would reveal themselves to the galaxy. Begin the broadcast, he ordered. Across the galaxy, every hidden human settlement activated their transmitters at the same moment. The message reached every world, every ship, every communication device in Empire space. It was not a threat or a demand for surrender. It was evidence. The broadcast showed the truth about the Empire. Video recordings of Empire forces destroying human cities. Audio files of Empire leaders planning the genocide of entire species. Documents proving that the Empire had been built on lies, slavery, and murder. But the humans were not just revealing the Empire's crimes. They were offering hope. The broadcast included detailed instructions for building advanced technologies, clean energy systems, medical treatments, farming techniques that could feed entire worlds. People of the galaxy, Jinwoo's voice carried, to every corner of known space. The Empire has told you that progress comes through conquest. We offer you progress through cooperation. Choose your future. On Empire worlds, oppressed species began to listen. The Kalari, who had been enslaved, for 2 centuries started building the energy systems shown in the human broadcasts. The Vorth, whose homeworld had been strip-mined, began organizing resistance movements. Admiral Korra watched her secure communications fill with reports of uprisings across the Empire. "Cut the human transmission," she ordered. "Jam all frequencies." But it was too late. The message had already reached every corner of the galaxy. Worse, Empire forces were starting to question their orders. Crews who had grown up believing in the Empire's mission were learning the truth about their history. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported with a shaking voice, "we are detecting human ships approaching from multiple directions." Korra looked at her sensors and felt her heart sink. The ships were not coming from space. They were rising from Earth itself, emerging from hidden bases that had been invisible to Empire scanners. More ships appeared from the Moon, from Mars, from the asteroid belt. But these were not the only human forces. Ships were appearing throughout the galaxy, at every Empire base and colony. The humans had not been hiding in one place. They had been everywhere, watching and waiting. "How many?" Korra asked quietly. "Over 10,000 ships detected and still counting," came the reply. "They are appearing at every major Empire facility in the galaxy." Dr. Hana watched the battle begin from her command center. At 93, she had lived to see the day she had dreamed of since childhood. The Empire that had scattered her people was finally facing justice. "All colonies report successful activation," Minho announced. "The fleet is engaging Empire forces on 47 worlds simultaneously." The battle above Earth was unlike anything in galactic history. The Empire ships fought with desperate courage, but they were facing an enemy that knew their every weakness. Human weapons passed through Empire shields as if they were not there. Empire computers were turned against their own ships. Even the Empire's superior numbers meant nothing when their formations were predicted and countered before they could form. Captain Jinwoo's flagship rose from the Pacific Ocean, water streaming from its hull as it climbed toward the orbital battle. His ship had been hidden beneath the waves for decades, waiting for this moment. "Open a channel to Admiral Korra," he ordered. The Admiral's face appeared on his screen, showing a woman who had finally understood the truth. Her fleet was burning around her, but her expression was not angry. It was sad. "You have won," she said simply. "But what happens now? Will you destroy us as we tried to destroy you?" Jinwoo considered the question carefully. "Admiral, your empire is built on the idea that the strong must dominate the weak. We offer a different path. Surrender now and help us build something better." One by one, Empire ships began to surrender. The crews had heard the human broadcasts and seen the evidence of their leaders' crimes. They were tired of fighting wars. for an empire that had lied to them their entire lives. The battle ended not with explosions but with silence. The Empire's grand fleet hung motionless in space, their weapons powered down, their crews waiting to see what humanity would do with victory. Jinwoo stood on Earth's surface for the first time in his life, breathing air that had not been recycled, through underground systems. Around him, children from the hidden colonies played in natural sunlight, laughing as they discovered grass and flowers. The Empire had called humanity a memory. That memory had become something greater than revenge. It had become hope for a better galaxy,